my sister's house where I'm visiting right now. This railroad line hasn't been used in a few years, so there's no danger of me being run over by a train. And if you're wondering what that weird mist in front of the camera is, it's a little bit chilly out, so you can kind of see my breath drifting up in front of the camera. It's just a little after sunset right now. So I suppose it's dusk. I like that word. Dusk. This railroad line is on Vancouver Island, and when it was still in use, it linked the two largest cities on Vancouver Island. But when I say largest cities, it's probably worth noting that the larger of the two only has a population of about 250,000, and the smaller of the two probably less than 100,000. So it's more like linked a small city and a large town. It's kind of sad that the train doesn't run here anymore, because I don't think there is any active railroad on Vancouver Island anymore, other than one small loop at a sort of interactive, almost theme park-like museum. It's not too far from here. It's a museum of forestry history. The island's economy was mostly built on the logging and lumber industry. But in the last few decades, it's kind of gone into other things more. And that industry is in decline, which is probably better for the trees. But at that museum, they have a railroad line that takes people from the entrance of the museum into the main grounds, which are mostly outside. And it is a old restored steam locomotive from, I think, the early 1900s that would have been used to carry the workers and the trees in and out of the forest. But now it just carries tourists around in a big circle. I used to love going there when I was a kid, though. My mom would take me there all the time. And I loved riding on that train because, well, what little boy doesn't like steam trains? But this particular railroad line that I'm walking on now, I'm near its northern terminus. And behind me, about probably a little over 100 kilometers away, would be its southern terminus. One of the things I've always wanted to do is walk the entire length of this railroad, which I think is something that I might do next summer. And it's obviously something that's a lot safer to do now that there's no trains using the railroad anymore. And you can probably hear some cars going by. I'm actually in a very rural area. There's a lot of farms around here. Most of them are like my sister's farm. They're horse farms. Usually you wouldn't hear so much traffic, but I think because it's just been the end of the workday, there's a lot of people driving home. But I do kind of like the sound of the cars. I like coming and visiting the island once in a while. Obviously, I grew up here. I always feel very at home as soon as I set foot on the island, even though I haven't lived here in over a decade. It's a nice place. People are very friendly here. I'm trying really hard to hold the camera as steady as I can, so nobody gets dizzy watching this. If we're lucky, maybe we'll see some deer. When I was walking these railroad tracks yesterday at around this time, I saw probably almost a dozen or so deer. I guess they like using the railway line to get around too. And if we're not lucky, we might see a bear or a cougar. In which case I'm probably going to stop recording. Start making some loud noises. There are actually a lot of bears and cougars around here. My sister saw a cougar just outside of her house a couple weeks ago. I think Vancouver Island has one of the most densely populated populations of cougars in North America, which is kind of scary. The scariest thing about that fact is that you very, very rarely see them. I've actually never seen one in my life. I don't know many people who have. But if you ever spend any time outside walking in the woods and in the wilderness around here, it's a pretty safe bet to assume that one has seen you. And it can be a little eerie sometimes. You do occasionally get the feeling that something's watching you. It's probably because something is. So it's when you're growing up here, your parents always tell you to always frequently look over your shoulder when you're out in the woods, to be alert for cougars. That being said, there's been very few attacks. They do happen, but not very frequently. I have a friend who had an encounter with a cougar once, but he started yelling and shouting at it. According to him, he didn't really know what to say, so he actually he threatened the cougar by saying that, "I'm gonna eat you." I guess he kind of turned the tables. Perhaps you can hear in the distance some animals howling. We're actually quite near the ocean here. And And if I'm not mistaken, because I've heard that sound before, that sounds like a herd of sea lions that are probably they're migrating and have decided to spend a little time in the nearby bay. At this time of year, there's the salmon are starting to congregate at the river mouths around here to make their journey upstream to spawn, so the eating is probably pretty good for the sea lions right now. I might try to make a trip down tomorrow morning to the beach to see if I can see them. They're quite beautiful. And they're a lot bigger than they look in pictures. They're also really stinky. Something that is rarely mentioned in nature documentaries. They, when they congregate, they really make a mess. And it smells. But I suppose that's to be expected if your diet pretty much consists only of fish. Looks like the last of the daylight is just starting to disappear. So, I'm gonna turn around. Start making my way back. I think my sister is making dinner right now. I'm kind of hungry. But I hope you enjoyed this little stroll on the railroad tracks with me. And before I go, I'll say goodbye by counting down from 10 to 1. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,